Hello CLC students, this is Mr. Day. Today I will be going over the capstone project with you. If you have a copy of the criteria sheet, that will be helpful as I will be going through each portion of the project with you. I'll talk about the criteria and also go over the different presentation formats available to you. So every school does their capstone slightly differently. And at Fleetwood Park, we have chosen to focus on the journey of the dragon being you. We are most interested in your story, and every student has a story that's unique to them. And if you look back at your high school experience, your 4 or 5 years, you've had many experiences both in and out of school that have shaped who you are, both good and bad. For your capstone, you will be putting together a personalized portfolio that will demonstrate personal learning and achievement, both in and out of school, growth in core competencies, so communication, critical and creative thinking, and then personal and social responsibility, as well as reflecting on a post-graduation plan. I would now like to talk to you about the presentation formats available to you for this capstone. Typically, the capstones are presented one-on-one, live, between you and your CLC teacher at school. But as you know, this is not a typical year. So we have provided 4 options for you to choose from. You need to choose one of the following formats. Option A would be a Prezi, PowerPoint, Google Slides, or other similar presentation platform where you could cover off all the criteria from the capstone. There would be words, maybe pictures, maybe video. Everything would be covered in that format. Option B would be one of the above with your voice narrating through the presentation, similar to what I'm doing here as I'm talking through this PowerPoint. The advantage to this format is way less writing, and you can deliver much more information because you are doing it verbally. Option C would be a recorded video of your presentation. And option D would be the one-on-one live presentation at school. If you choose option D, you would need to schedule an interview with your teacher between the dates of June 8 and June 19th at Fleetwood. Now we will take a look at each portion of the capstone, starting with step 1, looking back. For this portion of the project, we need you to do some reflection on your previous years of high school. We'd like you to choose a minimum of 1 event, but you can definitely do more, for each grade. So grade 8, 9, 10, 11 if you're in 11, and if you're in grade 12, you add grade 12. And we want you to look back and tell us why this event was significant to your overall experience. It can be in a good way or a bad way. It can be in school or outside of school. And for each year, it starts at the beginning of the school year and goes through the summer. We've given you some questions to think about to guide your thoughts, and you can see them on this PowerPoint. So talk about how this event was maybe a turning point in your learning or your achievement. Did it change your perspective? Did it teach you anything? What did you learn about yourself or others? How and why was this a memorable event? Again, these are just meant to guide you. You can talk about this event in any way you want. For step number 2, we would like you to identify a mentor in your life. Now, a mentor is somebody that guides you, maybe gives advice, but somebody who's had an impact on your journey. This mentor could be a family member, could be a community member, could be a teacher, could even be a peer. But choose somebody in your life who has mentored you in one way or another, and create a means to describe your mentor and how they've influenced you. This could be done through video, maybe a quote, maybe a letter, pictures. How has this person guided you in your journey, and what qualities do they show that have encouraged a strong relationship between you? Step 3 is the growth in core competencies. So what we'd like you to do here is for each core competency, we'd like you to choose either an artifact or an experience that shows your strength and growth for each. Again, depending on the format you choose to present, may sort of guide you which way you want to show this. If you do a live presentation or a video recording, You could show an artifact. If it's a Prezi or a PowerPoint, you might want to take a picture of something or show a photo or talk about an experience. Either way, you should be able to explain how each of these represents your growth in the core competencies from grade 8 all the way until now. We've given you some key points for each one that can help guide your response. So core competency number 1 is communication. And again, you can choose to represent this how you would like. We've given you some examples on your criteria sheet. We've also given some questions to guide you. So how have you grown in your communication skills from grade 8 until now? How do you share information with others? What does effective communication look like for you? Talk about when you've used effective communication or not. And how do you think your communication skills will help you in the future? You don't need to answer all these questions, but these questions can help guide your explanation of your growth in the core competency. Core competency number 2 is critical and creative thinking. For this core competency, you can choose to focus on either critical or creative thinking, or you can choose to focus on both. Be prepared to talk about where your creativity comes from, or how you've used critical thinking skills in the past, and how you've developed each of these core competencies. For core competency number 3, we want you to look at personal and social responsibility. There are many different ways that you can approach this topic. You can look at it from a personal strengths point of view and tie that into accountability and personal responsibility. You can approach it from a social and emotional learning perspective. You can talk about how you demonstrate social responsibility either in school or in your community. You can even look at it from a cultural identity perspective. There are very many different unique cultures at our school. What makes you unique? And how does that tie into your personal or social responsibility? Step 4 is career life exploration. And in this step, we're looking for evidence of how you've participated in your community. There are many different ways you can satisfy this requirement. It could be a 30-hour work experience, 30 hours or more of volunteer or community service in one or many areas, 30 hours or more of paid student employment, so a part-time job. It could even be 30 hours or more of field work, internship, entrepreneurship, or even 30 hours or more of project work in an area that's of deep interest to you. If you're in grade 11 and you have not yet met the 30 hours, you need to talk about your plan for grade 12 and how you will meet this 30-hour requirement. The final step is step 5, moving forward. This is kind of a fun one because we're going to look ahead into the future, what your post-grad plan might look like. We want you to talk about where you would like to be in your personal, emotional, and professional journey 5 years from now and 10 years from now. And you can represent this any way you want. We need you to look into that crystal ball, talk about your goals, talk about your dreams, and speak to your personal career and general life goals for that 5 and 10-year period. Here are some final details as we wrap up the overview for the capstone. First of all, the due date. The capstone is due June 17th, 2020. You are welcome to hand it in earlier, and I'm sure your teachers would appreciate that, but the firm due date is June 17th, as marks are due shortly after that. The other thing to note about the capstone is we do not give it a mark. It is a ministry graduation requirement. So if you successfully complete the capstone, you get an RM. You must pass CLC to graduate, and you must successfully complete the capstone to graduate. Your teachers will have sent you the capstone evaluation feedback form, so you can look at that as that is the evaluation rubric for the capstone project. If you are looking to schedule a live presentation, I mentioned this earlier, but it must be scheduled with your CLC teacher between June 8th and June 19th. And finally, if you have any questions about the capstone, I tried to cover off most of the criteria and most of the information. But if you do have any questions, contact your CLC teacher and they'll be happy to help you out. Good luck.